everyone, and welcome to week 9. We just have a couple more weeks to finish up, and for me to really get you excited about doing science. So hopefully you've been having some fun planning an outdoor environmental education lesson and have begun to notice that science is actually really fun to plan and to do with elementary kids. And so you get to take them outside, you get to do things like grow plants and look at animals, and that will be really important in keeping your kiddos interested and engaged in what they are doing in the classroom. So hope you're having fun with doing the notebook pages and finding trade books. This is what teachers do, especially elementary teachers. So if this isn't fun for you, you might want to think about a different job. So this week we're going to have some more fun, and we're going to start thinking about engineering and how do you get kids to problem solve and critically think about a problem to come up with multiple solutions, and what to do when the first solution doesn't work and you have to rethink it. So you're going to be reading a little bit about different approaches to STEM, why STEM. This is, I think, the most important part of thinking about elementary teaching, as we do teach all of these subjects simultaneously. And so this is just a no-brainer for elementary teachers to incorporate multiple content areas together into a more unified and interesting, engaging unit, rather than, oh, we're going to do math for an hour and we're going to do a bunch of worksheets, and then we're going to read this book. But think about how much more interesting the kids are going to find it if you can kind of intertwine those, like you saw if you read the article on the gingerbread man. And so I hope that inspired you to think about, oh yeah, this could be super fun. How many kids wouldn't want to design a trap for the gingerbread man? And then this week you're going to be watching another video, if you didn't already, the IDEO shopping cart video. That hopefully will inspire you as well to think about, oh, the possibilities of engineering. So we're going to be addressing the third grade engineering standard, and believe it or not, NGSS has engineering standards as well. So the best place to find this is if you click here, and it'll actually take you to the standard. This is interactive, and you can actually click around and see things differently than I did. Put one in the Google Drive, but it is the black and white text version. So this is the standard: to find a simple design problem reflecting a need or a want that includes specified criteria for success and constraints on materials, time, or cost. So in this next lesson, you're going to be using this standard to plan, but we have some things to think about before we get to the planning process. And so for this week, you're just going to be doing some what engineers actually do. I want you to particularly pay attention to what is the steps in the engineering process. So as you think about that, I also have given you a copy of the lesson plan that we're going to be using for the engineering, and so that is in our Google Drive as well. And just like the last one you used, we're going to be incorporating the same components and planning for those. So the difference is you're going to be addressing the 5 E's in this lesson. And so those resources are going to be important. And so again, if you didn't last week, go back and look at, there's some materials on the 5 E's in week 3. You might want to review those as you think about planning this lesson. And so this week, the design forum, you're going to actually just complete a graphic organizer that has you looking at what engineers do. And so if you look at the forum, it says you'll need this graphic organizer, which is in week 9 in the Google Drive. It's also linked in Canvas under week 9. And so reading the articles that I've linked on Canvas, and then watching the IDEO shopping cart video, you're going to answer these questions and then respond to these 2 questions. And these 2 questions are the ones that you're going to post in the design form. Ignore the week 6. That's actually was the wrong week. But so you don't need to upload the entire form just your responses to these 2 questions. And so in week 9, that will be your response. And then you also need to actually, after you post your response, reply to one other classmate's response by the 14th. So that's a pretty light assignment for this week, but what I would recommend is that as you are getting close to, as we are getting close to the end of the term, that you look ahead a little bit to weeks 10 and 11, and you'll see next week we're going to be looking at creating STEM notebooks. So just like you did for the environmental ed lesson, you're going to create a STEM notebook, and then you're going to actually create a lesson plan. And so in this lesson, so in the last lesson you used a project learning tree lesson, and you are welcome to do that in this lesson as well. Unlike the last one, which are mostly environmental lessons, very few of the project learning tree lessons incorporate engineering. So you're going to have to think about, is there a lesson that I can modify from the project learning tree curriculum, your textbook, that I can add engineering to? And so thinking about that, and then for your STEM notebook, it's going to be primarily about students designing whatever they're going to build or make or create. And so your notebook page, thinking about your notebook page going forward. So in addition to the design forum this week, I want you to look through the project learning tree materials, see if you can find a lesson that you think would lend itself well to an engineering project. And then you're going to start thinking about what would you use for your notebook page. So this one is going to be a little more challenging, and you're going to have to be a little more creative and in thinking about that. So an example would be for the birds and worms lesson that I did the examples for the last lesson. If I was going to add an engineering piece to that, I might think about doing having students engineer the perfect bird beak for picking up worms. And so they would actually have to create a design, and then build their bird beak and then test it out. So that would be something that I could incorporate. So that one's a little more intuitive. I would suggest that you pick a new lesson from Project Learning Tree, and that you don't just add engineering to the one that you already planned. But I am not completely opposed to that if you can make a good argument. So that is your task for this week, is to, again, look at the template, plan your thinking about what engineers do, and then looking through the Project Learning Tree lessons to find one that might be easily aligned with an engineering standard. Okay, well, hopefully this is, you get to be detectives this week and find out some more about engineering, and I will look forward to seeing you in week 10 to give you a little more description about doing the notebook pages.